Hello there, and welcome to Infinite Earth Stories, where curiosity drifts slow and steady, and the wild possibilities of our planet unfold as if they were written into a bedtime tale. Tonight, before sleep finds you, we'll wander not into the past, not into the faraway stars, but into a question so simple and yet so unsettling that it changes everything we know about home. Take a moment, wherever you are, lying in bed, lights dimmed, maybe listening with your eyes already half closed, to notice the air around you. It brushes your skin softly. It fills your lungs with each breath. It carries the faint hum of night noises, or the sigh of a fan, or the rhythm of your own heartbeat. The air feels so ordinary, so invisible that most of the time we don't think of it at all. And yet, without it, nothing else we know could exist. So tonight, we will imagine the unimaginable. We will take the earth we love, the one that turns beneath our feet, and gently strip it bare. We will peel away the air, remove the breath, dissolve the clouds, and ask, what if Earth never had an atmosphere at all? Close your eyes for a moment and picture the sky you know. Perhaps it is blue and wide, perhaps painted with clouds, perhaps it is twilight, glowing with the last embers of the sun. Now let that sky dissolve. Imagine instead that there is no veil, no softness above, just blackness, pure, endless black, even at noon. The sun burns like a sharp white coin, the stars shine, cruelly visible even in the day. The moon hangs raw, naked, almost too close, every crater etched in unbearable clarity. With no atmosphere, the sky is not a sky at all. It is space itself, pressing down upon the world. There is no blue, no scattering of light, no gentle gradients of dawn and dusk, only silence and void. A world without a sky is a world without a face, without expression. And this is where our journey begins. As we drift into this imagining, let your breath slow, in and out. The thought may feel strange, maybe even a little sharp at the edges, but we will take it gently, together, step by step, as though walking through a dream. For this story is not a warning, not a fear. It is a meditation, a way of seeing our world differently by imagining it undone. We will wander through what such an earth would look like, how it would feel, what it would mean for oceans, for mountains, for life itself. And through that imagining, we'll return again to gratitude, for air, for clouds, for the fragile, invisible gift that makes our world possible. So nestle in, find stillness. The journey will be long and soft, like a tide pulling you toward rest. What if Earth never had an atmosphere, not for a moment, not briefly lost and regained, but never? Imagine our planet forming, rocks coalescing, oceans perhaps beginning, but no envelope of gases settling around it, no nitrogen, no oxygen, no carbon dioxide or water vapor. Nothing to trap warmth, nothing to scatter sunlight, nothing to hold sound or breath. The Earth would still spin, the continents might still rise, but it would be as if someone had removed the very stage upon which the play of life unfolds. Without air, the planet is not Earth as we know it. It is something stranger, colder, harsher, and infinitely lonelier. As you listen, remember that this is not just a thought about rocks and gases. It is also a reflection about you. Because every breath you take, every sigh, every word whispered into the night is possible because Earth does have an atmosphere. By imagining its absence, we come closer to understanding its gift. Tonight, you are not just a listener, you are a traveler. Together we will float over deserts stripped of wind, seas boiled into vapor, mountains struck by meteorites with no shield to slow them. And then we will return, gently, to the air-filled world that is our true home. So, here at the edge of our story, let us pause, breathe, settle deeper into the sheets, or let your mind drift like dust suspended in sunlight. Ahead lies a world without air, silent, exposed, and unimaginable. And yet we will imagine it. Not in fear, but in wonder. Because sometimes, to love what we have, we must first glimpse what it would be like to lose it. And so, softly, calmly, we step into the thought experiment. What if Earth never had an atmosphere? We have begun our journey with a question. What if Earth never had an atmosphere? But before we wander too far into that strange imagining, let us pause where we are. Let us notice what is, before imagining what is not. Because sometimes the best way to understand a gift is to hold it carefully, to see it fully, before imagining its absence. So tonight, let us look with quiet wonder at the atmosphere as we know it, the soft veil of gases wrapped around our world, the invisible ocean that holds us, protects us, sustains us, the tender presence so ordinary we forget it is even there. Take a breath with me now, in and out, in and out. Each inhale is the atmosphere becoming part of you. Each exhale is you returning to the atmosphere. We are never separate from it, not for a single heartbeat. The atmosphere is not just around us, it is within us. It is our companion, our caretaker, our lullaby. The first gift of atmosphere is breath. Without it, there would be no life. With it, there is a rhythm, as constant as the turning of Earth itself. Think of oxygen entering your lungs. Tiny molecules, unseen, drifting into the deepest parts of you where they are taken up by blood, carried to every cell. Every thought, every movement, every beat of your heart depends on this quiet exchange. And when oxygen has done its work, carbon dioxide leaves your body, released back to the world, a message carried to plants and forests, who in turn transform it into breath again. This cycle is endless, patient, gentle. It is a dance that has gone on for billions of years. You inhale the exhalations of trees. You exhale the inhalations of mosses, ferns, grasses. Even now, in this moment, the air filling your lungs may contain atoms once breathed by a dinosaur, or by the very first humans, or by creatures so ancient they no longer have names. The atmosphere remembers. Every breath you take is shared across time, across life, across history. Now, lift your imagination upward. Picture the sky, not as emptiness, but as a delicate blanket, thin, fragile, compared to the size of Earth, and yet absolutely essential. This blanket keeps us warm. By day, it gathers sunlight, holding it close, slowing the loss of heat back into space. By night, it tucks us in, keeping warmth from slipping away too quickly. Without it, Earth would be unrecognizable, blistering hot by day, impossibly cold by night. But with it, we are sheltered in the middle ground. Think of the sky as a parent's embrace. Gentle, unnoticed most of the time, but always there. Protecting, steadying, comforting. It is easy to forget the blanket when it works so well. Yet every sunrise, every twilight, every star glimpsed through its veil is a reminder that we are wrapped in something extraordinary. But the atmosphere is more than a blanket. It is a guardian, layered and watchful. High above us, the stratosphere holds ozone, a fragile but vital layer that absorbs ultraviolet radiation. Without it, the sun's light would fall harsh and merciless, burning skin, blinding eyes, unraveling the delicate molecules of life. Thanks to ozone, light is softened, filtered, transformed into the golden warmth we know. And higher still, in the mesosphere, meteors streak across the sky. Fragments of stone and metal hurtling from space, striking the shield of air. They burn, they flare, they dissolve, becoming streaks of light, shooting stars, we call them. We wish upon them, marvel at their beauty. Yet what we are truly seeing is protection, danger undone, a threat transformed into wonder. And above that, the thermosphere dances with auroras. Curtains of green and violet light ripple across polar skies. This is the atmosphere intercepting solar winds, guiding particles into magnetic embrace, turning what could be harmful into beauty. The sky is not just passive, it is alive with guardianship. But the atmosphere is more than a blanket, it is a guardian, layered and watchful. High above us, the stratosphere holds ozone, a fragile but vital layer that absorbs ultraviolet radiation. Without it, the sun's light would fall harsh and merciless, burning skin, blinding eyes, unraveling the delicate molecules of life. Thanks to ozone, light is softened, filtered, transformed into the golden warmth we know. And higher still, in the mesosphere, meteors streak across the sky. Fragments of stone and metal hurtling from space, striking the shield of air. They burn, they flare, they dissolve, becoming streaks of light, shooting stars, we call them. We wish upon them, marvel at their beauty. Yet what we are truly seeing is protection, danger undone, a threat transformed into wonder. And above that, the thermosphere dances with auroras. Curtains of green and violet light ripple across polar skies. This is the atmosphere intercepting solar winds, guiding particles into magnetic embrace, turning what could be harmful into beauty. The sky is not just passive, it is alive with guardianship. Now come lower, closer to where the atmosphere touches our daily lives. Here are the clouds, caretakers of water, gentle shepherds of rain. They gather moisture from seas, carry it across vast distances, release it as rain over thirsty lands. They feed rivers, nourish fields, refill lakes. Without clouds, there would be no renewal, no cycle, no balance. Oceans would sit heavy, never lifted into the sky, never shared. But with clouds, water becomes a traveler, a giver, a healer. Think of rain, tapping softly against a window, pattering through leaves, soaking into soil. That rhythm is the atmosphere speaking. That sound is the heartbeat of renewal. And then the winds, invisible rivers of air, always moving. Sometimes fierce, sometimes tender, always shaping the world. They scatter seeds across meadows, carry pollen between blossoms, lift birds on their journeys, whisper through trees at night. Winds smooth deserts into dunes, carve coasts into cliffs, weave climates that sustain the diversity of life. The air you breathe tonight may once have brushed the Amazon rainforest, or circled above the icy poles, or swept across mountain ranges older than memory. The atmosphere is not just here, it is everywhere. It connects us. It mingles past and present, near and far. It is the common ground of all that breathes. Now listen. Imagine the soundscape around you, the hum of a fan, the sigh of wind, the rustle of sheets, perhaps the distant rhythm of traffic, or the quiet creak of a house settling into the night. All of these sounds exist because of the atmosphere. Air carries vibrations, turns them into voices, into music, into laughter. Without atmosphere, there is no sound, no whisper, no rustle, no song. The world would be silent, not like a calm evening, but like absence itself. Even if you could call out, the sound would vanish instantly. with no air to carry it. The planet would be mute. The atmosphere is the stage upon which sound exists. It makes communication possible, connection possible. Every lullaby ever sung, every story ever told, every "I love you" whispered into the dark, all are held and carried by the air. The atmosphere is not just breath. It is voice. But there is another gift, quieter, but just as vital. The atmosphere keeps Earth's climate in balance. Gases like carbon dioxide and water vapor trap heat, preventing the planet from freezing solid. This greenhouse effect, delicate and essential, turns Earth into a habitable home instead of a frozen rock. Too much of these gases and the world overheats. Too little, and it freezes. But just enough, and life flourishes. The atmosphere is not static. It is dynamic, adjusting, responding, balancing. Like a musician tuning an instrument, it holds Earth's climate in a range where rivers flow, where forests grow, where life can thrive. Without atmosphere, there would be no balance, just harsh extremes. The blazing face of day, the frozen face of night. No middle ground, no place for life to take root. And now, pause again. Imagine Earth without all of this. No breath, no shield, no warmth, no sound, no clouds to gather rain, no winds to carry seeds. Picture standing on a barren surface under a black sky. The sun overhead burns unfiltered. The stars around you pierce the darkness even at noon. Every meteor strikes the ground. Every ray of radiation falls directly on your skin. Oceans, if they ever existed, boil away into space. The world is empty, silent, unprotected. This is the Earth we are imagining. But before we go there fully, let us hold in gratitude the atmosphere as we know it. Because its absence is stark. Its presence is everything. So tonight, as you drift deeper into rest, remember, the air around you is not empty. It is alive with history, with memory, with life. It connects you to forests, to oceans, to mountains, to every creature that breathes. It wraps you, protects you, carries you. The atmosphere is not decoration. It is foundation. It is the scaffold upon which life is built. It is the quiet caretaker, the gentle blanket, the shield, the song, the breath. And as we prepare to imagine a world without it, pause for one last deep breath. In and out. Feel the gift. Hold the gratitude. Because what comes next is the imagining of its absence. And only by seeing what would be lost can we fully understand what we have. So now, softly, gently, let us step closer to the question, what if Earth never had an atmosphere? What if there were no blanket, no shield, no song, no breath? What if the world stood naked, exposed to the void, silent beneath a black sky? That is where we will go next. Together, slowly, without fear, but with wonder. Because to understand the Earth we know, sometimes we must imagine the Earth we do not.
Imagine, traveler, that you are drifting quietly in orbit above the Earth. You look down, expecting to see the familiar jewel of our solar system, the swirling blues and whites, the soft haze of clouds, the thin, glowing edge of atmosphere tracing the curve of the horizon. That is the Earth we know, the one so often photographed by astronauts and satellites. A planet alive with color, alive with movement, alive with breath. But now imagine it stripped bare. The atmosphere is gone. The veil is lifted. And the Earth that greets you is not the same. From space, Without atmosphere, Earth is sharp, raw, startling in its nakedness. The first thing you notice is the absence of blue. Our planet is called a blue marble, the ocean world, because of how its atmosphere scatters light, because of how clouds paint it white, because of how oceans reflect through a soft lens of air. Without that lens, the colors shift. The oceans, still vast, still dominant, no longer shimmer with the familiar cobalt and turquoise. Instead, they are silver, flat, metallic, mirrors reflecting sunlight directly into your eyes. Where waves once gleamed with shifting blues, now they glare like polished steel. There is no haze to soften them, no clouds to obscure them. Just the hard, reflective gleam of water lying bare beneath the sun. The land, too, looks different. Deserts blaze with raw brightness, unmuted by air. They shine in pale yellows, chalky whites, rusty reds, each detail carved sharp. Mountains rise starkly, every ridge and shadow unblurred, like an etching made of stone. Snowcaps, where they still cling, are not soft mounds of white but sheets of brutal brilliance, glinting painfully in the sunlight. Ice, in particular, shines so brightly it is almost unbearable to look at, as though the whole world is flashing back the sun's glare. There are no clouds drifting overhead, no cotton tufts trailing shadows across land, no swirls of storm systems, no hurricanes spiraling like living forms. The planet's face is exposed, unchanging, its scars and shapes laid bare. You can see craters clearly, scattered across the continents, wounds that in our world are softened by erosion, weather, and vegetation. Here they remain sharp, raw, and unhealed. Without atmosphere, there is no soft rim of blue around the edge of the planet. Astronauts often speak of the thin blue line, the fragile shell of air they see glowing against the black of space. It is one of the most moving sights in all of space travel, a reminder of how delicate our world really is. But now, in this imagining, that line is gone. The horizon is brutal, hard rock against hard blackness. Earth does not look tender. It does not look alive. It looks like a stone suspended in void. Think of the difference. The Earth we know has a face. It smiles with cloud swirls, with glimmers of ocean, with shifting seasons visible from orbit. It has expression. It has character. But this airless Earth does not smile. It does not move. It does not breathe. It only glares back, cold and metallic, like a mask. And yet, in its own way, it is beautiful. There is a haunting clarity in seeing the planet without its veil. The details of mountain ranges, the fracture lines of valleys, the shimmering of frozen poles, all are visible in sharp relief. The scars of ancient impacts are carved deep into its surface, no erosion to soften them, no rain to wash them away. You are seeing Earth not as a living companion, but as an artifact. Imagine the contrast side by side. On one side, the Earth as it is, swirling with storms, rimmed with blue, alive with weather, clouds, and shifting patterns. On the other, the Earth without air, silent, raw, bare, a stone with oceans glinting like mirrors and continents etched in sharp, unchanging lines. One is a world alive, the other is a world paused, frozen in silence. And as you gaze from orbit, you notice too the light itself. Normally, the atmosphere scatters sunlight, spreading it across the surface, giving Earth its soft glow. But now, without scattering, the sunlight is harsh. It casts stark shadows. Where there is light, there is brilliance. Where there is shadow, there is blackness. There is no in-between, no haze, no gradient. Just extremes. The Earth you see now is not the Earth you know. It is familiar in shape, familiar in pattern, and yet alien in every detail. The absence of atmosphere has stripped it of its gentleness, its softness, its life. It is beautiful, yes, but with the beauty of something cold, something unreachable, something lost. And here, gazing from the silence of space, you begin to feel the truth of it. The atmosphere is not just decoration. It is the difference between a world that is alive and a world that is only stone. Now, traveler, let us lift our gaze upward. Stand on the surface of this silent earth and tilt your eyes to the heavens. What do you see? Not the sky you know. Not the soft wash of blue that brightens by day, nor the gentle purples and golds that stretch across twilight. Here, there is no atmosphere to scatter sunlight. The heavens are black. Even at noon, when the sun stands directly overhead, the dome above is not blue but void. The sun itself shines brutally, a white coin of fire, hard and unsoftened, hanging in the emptiness. Around it, stars glimmer, faint, but undeniable. Constellations are visible at midday, sharp and eternal. The Milky Way stretches across the heavens in a pale arc, glowing in full clarity, unhidden by air. It is disorienting. On our Earth, stars wait patiently for night to come. They appear gradually, as the light fades, as the sky deepens. They emerge like friends stepping into the room one by one. But here, on this airless earth, they are always present, always shining. Noon is midnight. Midnight is eternal. The rhythm of light and dark is broken. There would be no dawn. There would be no dusk. There would be only light, and then shadow. No slow brightening of morning, no gentle fading of day. The sun rises suddenly, harsh and unsoftened, casting instant glare. It sets just as abruptly, plunging the world into stark blackness. No gradients of color, no lingering afterglow, no moment of pause. Only the sharp edge between day and night, a knife cut across the world. Think of the skies you know, the soft watercolor wash of sunrise, the lingering glow of evening, the way clouds turn pink and gold, the way the horizon hums with color before the stars appear. All of that is born of atmosphere, of air bending light, scattering it, stretching it into hues. Without that veil, there is no painting. There is only starkness. The beauty of twilight is gone. The hush of dawn is gone. The sky does not smile. The sky does not change. There would be no sunrise. There would be no sunset. There would be only harsh light and endless dark. And yet, in this loss, there is also a strange wonder. Imagine looking up and seeing stars at noon. Imagine walking across a barren plain, the sun glaring above you, while constellations shimmer faintly all around. Imagine seeing the Milky Way in daylight, a river of starlight arching across the void. It would be beautiful, yes, but also uncanny. A reminder that without atmosphere, the universe is always there, watching, unsoftened, unhidden. On our Earth, the sky is alive. Clouds drift. Colors shift. Light scatters and bends. It has moods, expressions, temperaments. But here, the sky is dead. It does not change. It does not move. It does not breathe. It is only blackness, eternal, unblinking. There would be no clouds. There would be no storms. There would be no shifting moods above. Only the silence of stars, staring back forever. And in that silence, you begin to feel something. The absence of atmosphere is not just a physical absence. It is an emotional one. A loss of comfort, a loss of rhythm, a loss of connection. The sky above us is not just a ceiling. It is a presence. Without it, we are alone under the void. So let us hold this contrast gently. The black sky reminds us of the blue we so often forget to notice. The absence of twilight reminds us of the colors we cherish but take for granted. The constancy of stars at noon reminds us that our atmosphere is not an obstacle to the universe, but a painter, a poet, a veil that turns harshness into beauty. And as you breathe now, lying wherever you are, feel grateful for the blue. Feel grateful for the slow rise of morning, for the golden hush of evening, for the living sky that bends light into color and softens the edges of day. Because without it, the heavens would be black. Always black. Beautiful, but silent. Stark. Alone. Now, let us lower ourselves gently from the black sky to the surface of this airless earth. Stand here, if only in imagination, upon the ground. What do you feel? The first truth is harshness. There is no moderation, no middle ground. With no atmosphere, the surface is at the mercy of the sun by day, and the emptiness of space by night. When the sun rises, it rises without warning. Its light falls hard, unfiltered, unsoftened. Temperatures soar quickly, with no air to spread the warmth, no clouds to offer shade, no winds to stir relief. Rocks heat until they crackle. Sands shimmer with blistering intensity. Ice melts and then boils away into vapor, lost instantly to the void. By midday, the heat is merciless. Without air, there is no buffer. Surfaces burn. Dust glitters in white-hot brilliance. If oceans still linger, they do not sparkle blue. They seethe, reflecting sunlight like molten mirrors. Along their edges, water lifts away, boiling not from heat alone but from the lack of pressure, vanishing upward, never to return. And then, as the sun drops, night comes not gently but with sudden finality. Shadow falls like a curtain pulled across the stage. The warmth vanishes in moments, fleeing upward, slipping into the emptiness of space. Without atmosphere, there is nothing to hold it, nothing to slow its escape. Rocks that blistered hours before now contract, crack, and freeze. Sands that scorched your feet now burn with frost. Temperatures plummet far below freezing. Valleys fill with frost, Not snowflakes drifting from clouds, but frost born of direct condensation, crystals forming sharp and brittle in the stillness. Mountain peaks gleam with frozen sheen, only to melt away again with the returning sun. Every day is an ordeal of extremes. Every night, a collapse into ice. There would be no gentle afternoons. There would be no mild evenings. There would be only burning and freezing, shattering and searing. Now picture the landscapes themselves. Deserts without wind lie motionless, their dunes frozen in place, sharp-edged, unshifting. Without breezes to sculpt them, they stand like statues, fixed and eternal. Mountain ranges, normally softened by rain, shaped by erosion, stand jagged, fractured, every ridge exposed. Their surfaces are scarred by sudden temperature swings, expanding in the day, cracking in the cold night, breaking apart piece by piece, turning slowly into dust. That dust, without air to lift it, settles flat, unmoving. Plains gather it in layers, still, lifeless. Valleys hold it like stagnant seas of powder. Nothing stirs. Nothing moves. And the oceans? If they linger, they are strange things. Their surfaces ripple not with breezes, not with waves, but only with the direct push of sunlight and the pull of tides. They lie heavy, unchanging, their edges steaming into space. Along the shorelines, water boils and freezes in strange patterns, ice forming in shadows, vapor lifting in light. The seas themselves are temporary, fragile, vulnerable. Without atmosphere, they cannot stay. Imagine walking here. Imagine standing at the edge of such a sea, watching its surface glitter under a black sky. The stars shine down, the sun glares above, and the water lifts, particle by particle, into emptiness. It is haunting, beautiful, and utterly lifeless. There would be no rain. There would be no rivers. There would be no lakes. There would be no cycle of water, no renewal. Only still seas evaporating into silence, only frost creeping across rocks, only ice melting and boiling, again and again. The earth without atmosphere is a place of extremes. Too hot, too cold, too harsh for life. Landscapes fracture, oceans vanish, frost forms and melts, rocks break apart. And through it all, silence reigns. No wind, no weather, no movement but the stark cycle of light and shadow, heat and cold, presence and absence. And as you stand here in imagination, you begin to see the truth. The atmosphere is not just a comfort. It is a sculptor. It is what shapes the landscapes we know, smoothing, softening, carrying, renewing. Without it, Earth is bare. Earth is broken. Earth is silent. Now pause, traveler. Stop moving, stop imagining heat or cold, and simply listen. What do you hear? In your world, there is always something. The faint hum of a fan, the distant song of insects, the creak of wood in the night, even the soft rhythm of your own breath. On Earth as we know it, silence is never absolute. The atmosphere is always carrying sound, whispers, rustles, echoes, heartbeats. But on this airless earth, there is none of that. There is no air to carry vibrations. No molecules to transmit sound from one place to another. You could clap your hands, and the gesture would be mute. You could shout into the black sky, and the words would vanish the instant they left your lips. Even your footsteps, pressing against the ground, would echo only through your bones, not through the space around you. The silence here is not like a quiet night in the countryside, where the air still hums with faint crickets or wind in the trees. It is not like the stillness of a library, where the air still holds the whisper of turning pages. It is not even like the muffled hush after a snowfall, when the world feels softened. This silence is something deeper, more complete. It is the silence of absence, the silence of nothing, the silence of a void. There would be no whispers. There would be no laughter. There would be no song. Even memory feels out of place here. On our earth, silence is filled with the potential of sound. You expect a bird to call, a leaf to fall, a breeze to stir. But on this silent earth, nothing comes. There is no breeze, no birds, no rustle of leaves. The quiet is eternal, unbroken, absolute. And as you stand in it, it presses against you like a weight. Silence, when it is this total, feels heavy, suffocating. It is not calm, but consuming. It fills every space, every moment, with absence. Imagine walking across a barren plain here. The sun glares above you, stars glimmer faintly even in the day, and your footsteps make no sound. Stones shift underfoot, but they do not crunch. Dust scatters, but it does not hiss. If you stumble, the fall is mute. If you cry out, the cry vanishes. You are surrounded not by stillness, but by the impossibility of sound. It is eerie to think of how much of our world depends on sound. Communication, connection, the comfort of voices, the reassurance of rain against a roof, the song of wind through branches, the rhythm of waves on a shore. Sound reminds us that we are not alone. But here, on this silent earth, you are profoundly alone. There would be no voices. There would be no music. There would be no comfort in sound. Even life itself depends on sound more than we realize. Whales sing across oceans. Birds call to their young. Insects hum to attract mates. Wolves howl, frogs croak, even trees whisper as wind moves through their leaves. Sound is a language older than words, older than writing. It is the planet speaking through every living thing. Without atmosphere, that language is erased. The conversation of life ends before it begins. Imagine, instead, standing by the shore of one of those fragile seas, watching waves rise and fall. On our earth, such waves roar, crash, sing. But here, they are mute. Water moves, but without air, its sound does not travel. The sight is there, but the song is gone. Imagine lightning flashing across a black sky, but no thunder follows. Imagine a rock slide tumbling down a mountain, but no rumble accompanies it. Even the most violent events unfold in silence, as though the world itself has muted its voice. And so, you begin to feel the deeper truth. Sound is presence. Sound is connection. Sound is proof that you belong to a world that is alive. Without it, you are alone in ways beyond imagining. There would be no echo. There would be no call. There would be no answer. Just silence, endless silence, pressing against you with the weight of nothing. And in that silence, you begin to understand, the atmosphere is not just breath, not just shield, not just warmth. It is also voice. It is the carrier of sound, the medium of music, the stage for language. Without it, Earth does not speak. Let us linger here a little longer, traveler, and imagine not only silence, not only extremes of heat and cold, but the constant exposure of a world without a shield. For this is what the atmosphere does. Quietly, invisibly, it guards. It stands between Earth and the vastness of space. And without it, the planet is naked. Begin with the sun. On the Earth, its light is filtered, softened, bent into colors. Harmful rays are caught high above, turned aside, absorbed before they can touch your skin. But here, there is no such barrier. Ultraviolet light pours down unchecked. It does not warm so much as it burns. It strips, it scars, it erases. The very molecules of life unravel in its glare. And beyond ultraviolet, there is more. X-rays, gamma rays, particles carried on the solar wind. They race outward from the sun like invisible storms, battering this bare Earth. On the planet we know, Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere work together, catching these streams, guiding them harmlessly toward the poles, where they become auroras, those curtains of green and violet light. But on this unshielded Earth, there are no auroras. The particles strike directly, unopposed, relentless. There would be no filter. There would be no barrier. There would be no protection from the sun. And then, from beyond the sun, come the wanderers. Meteoroids, fragments of rock, dust from comets, broken shards of ancient collisions. On our Earth, when they fall, they meet the atmosphere first. They blaze, they burn, they crumble into sparks we call shooting stars. They delight us, surprise us, make us wish. But here, there is no air to stop them. Every stone falls all the way. Every fragment strikes the ground. The surface of this Earth is pocked with craters, each one a memory of a fall. Large or small, fast or slow, they strike without warning, without ceremony. The ground is scarred, forever young with fresh wounds. Where our Earth heals through erosion, through rain, through the quiet patience of weather, this Earth does not. Scars remain sharp, as though they happened yesterday, because there is no atmosphere to soften them, no winds to wear them down, no rains to wash them smooth. There would be no shooting stars. There would be no harmless flashes. There would be only impacts, endless and raw. Imagine watching such a fall. A fragment enters the black sky. It does not flare, does not glow. It falls silently, invisibly, until it strikes the surface. The explosion is immense, but it carries no sound, no rolling thunder. Only light, only force, only silence. Rocks are shattered. Dust is flung upward, but with no air to hold it aloft, it arcs and falls quickly, settling again in stillness. The wound remains. Over time, These wounds accumulate. Without erosion, without rain or rivers to wear them down, the craters stack upon craters. The surface begins to resemble the moon, harsh, broken, unhealed. Every strike remains visible. Every scar is eternal. And so, the earth is not only silent, it is vulnerable, exposed to the full violence of the cosmos. There would be no auroras. There would be no shield of ozone. There would be no gentle veil of air to catch the violence of space. Instead, the sun burns directly. Radiation pours in. Meteors strike. Dust settles. The world is battered again and again, with no defense. And yet, in this starkness, there is another strange kind of beauty. The auroras are gone, yes, but in their place is clarity. The stars above shine with unbroken brilliance. The scars of impacts tell stories written not in words but in stone. The landscape is a book of collisions, every page sharp and visible, every line cut deep. It is haunting, but also humbling. For it shows us what the earth would be without its shield, without its sky. It shows us the quiet, tireless work of the atmosphere. Work we rarely notice, because it happens invisibly every moment. So breathe deeply now. The air filling your lungs is the same air that shields you. The same air that burns meteors into sparks, that softens the sun's harsh rays, that keeps radiation at bay. It is not only breath. It is armor. Without it, the earth is unshielded. With it, the earth is alive. Traveler, linger with me now in the stillness of this airless world. For though it is harsh, though it is silent, though it is unshielded and extreme, it is not without beauty. It is a beauty strange to us, alien to our eyes, but powerful in its own way. Look again from space. The planet gleams with clarity. Its oceans, if they remain, shine like molten silver, mirrors reflecting the sun without haze. Continents stretch beneath you in sharp relief, every ridge, every fracture, every scar etched with unbearable precision. Snowcaps gleam like glass, so bright they dazzle the eye. Deserts blaze with chalky light, their sands unsoftened, their dunes frozen in shape. There is no blur here, no soft horizon, no veil of atmosphere to tint the edges of the world with blue. The line between earth and space is sharp, abrupt. It is as though the planet has been cut out and placed against the black of eternity. From orbit, it looks less like a home and more like an artifact, a relic, preserved and untouched. On the surface, too, beauty lingers. Craters gleam in sunlight, each one a perfect circle, unsoftened by erosion. Shadows stretch dark and absolute, with no air to scatter light into them. Rocks gleam in brilliance or disappear into blackness, with nothing in between. The world is a canvas of extremes, pure light, pure shadow, pure silence. And above, always, the sky is filled with stars. Imagine standing on a plain at midday and seeing constellations burning faintly overhead. Imagine the Milky Way glowing across the sky even as the sun glares. Imagine the North Star shining steady, never lost, never hidden, always present. The universe is revealed in full, unmasked, unfiltered. It is breathtaking, and it is endless. There would be no clouds to hide the heavens. There would be no haze to blur the stars. There would be only clarity, eternal and stark. In this beauty, however, there is loneliness. For the loveliness of earth as we know it comes not only from clarity, but from change. The shifting of clouds, the turning of seasons, the dancing of auroras, the song of storms. Without atmosphere, there is no motion, no music. The beauty here is static, frozen. It does not breathe. Think of the auroras, those veils of green and violet light that shimmer above our poles. They are born of atmosphere, born of air catching the storm of the sun and turning it into art. Without air, they vanish. The skies are empty. The poles are dark. There are no curtains of light to remind you that the earth is alive. Think of the colors of dawn and dusk, the golden wash across clouds, the purples and reds of evening. All are born of air bending light, scattering it, painting it across the sky. Without atmosphere, there is no palette. There is only blackness, eternal blackness, above. Think of rain, falling in silver threads, tapping gently against leaves, rippling across rivers. Think of the way sunlight catches those raindrops, turning them into rainbows. All of this, too, is born of atmosphere. Without it, there is no rain, no rainbow, no storm. There would be no aurora. There would be no rainbow. There would be no storm. There would be only stillness. And so this beauty, though haunting, is also deadly. It is the beauty of silence, of exposure, of absence. It is a beauty that cannot nurture, cannot comfort, cannot cradle life. It is beauty without warmth, beauty without breath. And yet, it tells us something important. By imagining this earth, we begin to see the preciousness of our own. We see how air paints the sky, how it softens light, how it shields us from danger. We see how clouds carry water, how winds carve deserts, how sound carries song. We see how atmosphere turns silence into music, stillness into weather, harshness into home. The deadly beauty of this silent earth is a mirror. It shows us what we would lose. It shows us the difference between a world that endures and a world that lives. So as you rest now, breathe in the gift of the air around you. Let it fill your lungs. Let it soften your thoughts. Let it remind you of the wonder of being here. The atmosphere is not just science. It is not just physics. It is tenderness. It is color. It is comfort. It is home. Without it, earth is beautiful, yes, but it is deadly beauty. With it, earth is alive. Traveler, let us begin with the most obvious consequence of a world without air. The waters would vanish. The seas, the rivers, the rains, all would be impossible. For water, as we know it, depends on pressure. It depends on the gentle weight of the atmosphere pressing down, holding it in liquid form. Without that weight, liquid water cannot stay. It boils away, even in the cold. It escapes, molecule by molecule, into the emptiness of space. Imagine, then, the great oceans of Earth, the Pacific stretching vast across the globe, the Atlantic rolling with tides, the Indian Ocean shimmering under moonlight. Now imagine them lifting into vapor, not in storm or tempest, but in slow inevitability. The waves do not roar, the tides do not crash. They simply begin to vanish, rising upward, invisible, uncontained, drifting into the black. There would be no seas. There would be no tides. There would be no waves to sing against the shore. What remains is haunting. Vast basins, dry and cracked. Where once whales sang, silence lies heavy. Where once coral reefs shimmered with color, there is only stone, sharp and lifeless. The floor of the ocean is exposed to the sun, ridges of mountains once hidden now revealed, trenches gaping like scars across the planet's skin. Imagine standing where the Mariana Trench once lay, the deepest place on Earth, and seeing it dry and open, its walls sharp, its floor barren. Rivers, too, cannot exist here. Without rain to feed them, without air to hold moisture, there are no streams carving their way down valleys. No silver ribbons winding through forests. No deltas spreading their fingers into seas. The land is dry, untouched, unshaped by flowing water. Grand canyons do not form. Waterfalls never tumble. The hush of running streams, the laughter of brooks, the thunder of rivers, all are absent. There would be no rivers. There would be no streams. There would be no canyons carved by water's patient hand. And what of rain? That gentle caretaker of life. On Earth as we know it, clouds gather, drift, release their weight in droplets. They tap against rooftops, patter in leaves, soak into soil. They fill aquifers, feed seeds, refresh the ground. But here, on this airless earth, clouds do not exist. Water cannot rise to gather. Moisture cannot condense. Rain never falls. The cycle of renewal is broken. No evaporation, no condensation, no rainfall, no rivers. The hydrological dance that keeps Earth alive is gone. The planet is dry, parched, unmoving. There would be no clouds. There would be no storms. There would be no rain to soften the land. And so, life never begins. Because water is more than scenery. It is cradle, nursery, sustainer. Without liquid water, there are no cells, no chemistry of life, no chance for beginnings. Earth remains silent not only because of absent air, but because of absent seas. Picture it once more. The Pacific Basin, empty and raw, stretching wider than continents. The Atlantic, a scar dividing lands but filled with nothing. The Indian Ocean, a hollow shimmering only with heat. Where once waves rolled endlessly, now dust settles, lifeless. Contrast this with the Earth you know. The blue planet, shimmering from space, alive with moving seas. 2/3 of its surface covered in water, a cycle that turns endlessly, binding atmosphere and land in balance. Oceans cradle life, clouds carry rain, rivers carve valleys, glaciers shape mountains. All of it possible because air holds water, air moves water, air protects water. Without atmosphere, Earth is no longer blue. It is grey, tan, red. It is barren. Its most defining feature, its oceans, are gone. There would be no Pacific. There would be no Atlantic. There would be no Indian, no Arctic, no southern seas. Only emptiness where water once lived. And so the first great consequence is this: Earth loses its memory of water. Its seas, its rains, its rivers, all lifted away. What remains is stone and silence. As you breathe now, lying wherever you are, know that the air around you is holding oceans in place. Know that the moisture in the sky, the droplets waiting to fall, exist because air allows them to. Without atmosphere, there is no water. Without water, there is no life. Now let us turn our gaze to the landscapes of this airless Earth. A planet without an atmosphere is not only dry, it is still. For without air, there is no weather. And without weather, there is no motion upon the land. Think of the deserts you know on Earth today. Even in their dryness, they are alive with movement. Winds sculpt dunes into graceful curves, shifting them with invisible hands. Storms sweep through, lifting grains of sand into the sky, carrying them for miles before letting them fall. Deserts breathe. They are not empty, but restless. Now imagine those same deserts without air. The dunes remain where they are, frozen in shape. Their ridges are sharp, unmoving. Grains of sand do not lift, do not scatter. They lie in silence, locked in place. What wind once touched them no longer exists. The desert is a statue of itself, vast, still, eternal. There would be no winds. There would be no shifting sands. There would be only silence, unbroken. And what of the mountains? On the earth we know, mountains are slowly worn down. Rain cuts through their flanks. Frost enters cracks, expanding, breaking rock. Rivers carve valleys from their sides, carrying stone to the sea. Over time, peaks grow softer, slopes become gentler. Mountains breathe the passage of ages. But here, without atmosphere, mountains do not soften. They rise jagged, fractured, untouched by erosion. Their sharp ridges remain sharp forever. Craters carved by meteor strikes remain fresh, as though cut yesterday, because nothing wears them away. Valleys are not carved, canyons are not etched. Time does not smooth the land. There would be no rivers. There would be no rainfall. There would be no slow wearing down of stone. Imagine standing in such a range. The peaks tower around you, but they are silent. No wind howls. No clouds gather. No snow falls to cloak their summits. They are bare, sharp, severe. Their silence is heavy. Their stillness, absolute. Forests too are absent, of course. With no atmosphere, there is no air to breathe, no rain to fall. Where trees might have grown, where grass might have spread, there is only rock and dust. Imagine a meadow with no breeze to ripple its grasses. Imagine a forest with no wind to stir its leaves. Imagine a world where the branches do not sway, where the ground does not soften with moss. Life is impossible here. Stillness reigns. And rivers. Let us linger on rivers, for they are the storytellers of landscapes. On our earth, they carve, they carry, they create. The Grand Canyon, vast and echoing, is the patient work of water and time. Valleys, fertile and green, are gifts of rivers. But on this airless earth, rivers never form. Water does not flow. Canyons do not carve. The land is not shaped by motion, only by violence, by impacts from above, by the cracking of stone in heat and cold. There would be no Grand Canyon. There would be no Nile, no Amazon, no Yangtze. There would be no river songs, no valleys green with life. The world is static. Landscapes do not change except in abrupt violence, a meteor impact, a crack in the crust. The subtle motions of wind and rain, the patient shaping of valleys and coasts, are gone. And so the earth becomes not only silent, but still. It is a place where time moves, but does not shape, where mountains rise, but do not soften, where deserts stretch, but do not breathe, where coasts exist, but are not reshaped by tides. Contrast this with the earth we know. Clouds race across the sky. Winds carve dunes anew each day. Rain reshapes slopes. Rivers carry soil to the sea. Every landscape is alive with motion, subtle and slow, yet constant. Earth is not a frozen sculpture. It is a living canvas, always changing. But here, on the airless earth, nothing moves. The stillness is total. The world is a photograph of itself, unchanging, unmoving. There would be no weather. There would be no erosion. There would be no renewal, no reshaping. Only stillness, vast and unbroken. And so, as you lie listening, think of the movements around you. The air that stirs curtains, the breeze that rustles trees, the rivers that carve valleys unseen. Think of the patient, unseen work of atmosphere, always shaping, always changing, always breathing life into stone. For without it, earth is not only silent, it is still. Traveler, let us linger now in the light, or rather, in the harshness of it. For without atmosphere, the sunlight that touches this earth is not softened, not filtered, not bent into the gentle warmth we know. It is raw. It is merciless. It is the unshielded power of a star. On the earth, you know, much of this light is caught before it reaches you. The ozone layer intercepts ultraviolet radiation, the kind that burns skin, blinds eyes, and unravels DNA. The air scatters brightness into blue, spreads warmth evenly, softens shadows. Even the very act of breathing is part of this protection, for the air absorbs, transforms, balances. But here, on this airless earth, there is no protection. Ultraviolet light pours down in full force. It does not nourish, it destroys. It tears at molecules, shatters fragile bonds, sterilizes every surface. The ground itself glows with the burden of radiation, heated not gently but violently. There would be no shield. There would be no filter. There would be only the raw fire of the sun. And yet the sun is not the only source of danger. From deep space come cosmic rays, particles born in ancient supernovae, racing across the void at near the speed of light. On our Earth, many of these are blocked by atmosphere, guided away by the magnetic field, rendered harmless. But here, without air, They strike directly. They pierce stone, they batter surface, they scar molecules with invisible violence. Imagine standing on this barren earth, the sun a blinding coin overhead, the stars always present. Every moment, unseen storms of particles wash over you, passing through skin, through bone, through ground. They leave no mark visible to the eye, but they change, they damage, they undo. There would be no refuge. There would be no protection in shade or stone. There would be exposure, constant and unrelenting. Think of life as we know it, fragile, delicate, bound together by the chemistry of carbon and water. DNA is a story written in spirals, but it is easily broken, easily rewritten by radiation. On Earth with an atmosphere, that story is protected, given time to endure, to adapt, to thrive. But here, no story could survive. The script would unravel before it began. Life, if it tried to spark, would be extinguished instantly, again and again. This earth is barren not only because it is dry, not only because it is silent, but because it is radiant in the most hostile way. It shines with light that sterilizes, that erases. There would be no forests. There would be no seas of plankton. There would be no fragile threads of DNA weaving themselves into life. Even stone suffers. On our Earth, rocks weather under rain, wind, frost. Here, they weather under radiation. Their surfaces darken, crack, flake away. Ice sublimates into vapor, stone grows brittle, dust accumulates but does not move. The very ground is marked by the relentless energy of space. And yet, in this harshness, there is also strange beauty. For without atmosphere, you see the sun as it truly is, a star, a furnace of fusion, raw and unblinking. Its light is not painted into color by scattering. Its shadows are not softened. The land beneath it gleams or disappears into blackness. Every line is sharp, every contrast extreme. It is beautiful, but it is dangerous. It is light stripped of tenderness, light that does not care, light that only burns. There would be no twilight glow. There would be no golden hour. There would be only brilliance and shadow, fire and void. And so, as you imagine this radiant barrenscape, feel the difference of your own world. The air you breathe is not only life, it is shield. It is what takes the violence of a star and turns it into warmth. It is what bends light into color, what turns ultraviolet into protection, what scatters brightness into blue. Without atmosphere, Earth is not a home. It is a desert of radiation, a barren under fire, a world scorched endlessly by the very star that gives it light. With atmosphere, Earth is alive. With atmosphere, sunlight becomes morning, afternoon, evening. With atmosphere, life finds room to begin. Traveler, let us now turn our eyes toward the heavens once more, not to the sun, not to the stars, but to the wanderers. The fragments of stone and ice that drift endlessly through space. On our Earth, they often meet their end high above us, in the embrace of the atmosphere. They enter at great speed, strike the air, and burn in sudden brilliance. We call them meteors, shooting stars. They delight us, inspire us, even comfort us. They are a reminder that the universe is in motion, but that we are protected. Here, on this airless earth, there is no such protection. Every stone falls all the way. Imagine it. A fragment the size of a pebble enters the sky. On our earth, it would flare into brilliance, gone in a streak of light. Here, it does not burn. It does not vanish. It falls in silence, striking the ground with force. It leaves a tiny crater, sharp and fresh, never softened by rain, never erased by erosion. Now imagine a larger stone, the size of a car or a house. On Earth as we know it, such a rock might burn up high above, breaking into pieces, its energy released harmlessly in the sky. But here, on this silent Earth, it falls intact. It strikes the surface with violence, scattering stone, cracking ground, gouging a scar into the planet's face. And then imagine something larger still. A mountain of rock, drifting for eons through the void, drawn finally into collision. On our Earth, the atmosphere would flare around it, slowing it, burning it, turning much of its mass to fire before it reached the ground. But here, it is unopposed. It slams into the surface at full speed, the energy of thousands of bombs released in an instant. The land shudders. Dust rises, arcs, falls quickly. The scar remains forever. There would be no shooting stars. There would be no harmless flashes. There would be only impacts. And so the Earth becomes a book of collisions. Every page written in craters, every line cut deep into stone. On our living Earth, rain wears these scars away, rivers carve through them, forests grow over them. Time heals. But here, there is no healing. Every impact remains. Layer upon layer, scar upon scar, until the surface looks less like Earth and more like the moon, harsh, pockmarked, unsoftened. Imagine walking across such a land. Every horizon is broken by circles. Small craters overlap larger ones, ridges of raised stone surrounding them like frozen waves. Some are shallow, others deep, but all are sharp. They are memories of collisions unending. And the strange thing is this: the impacts are silent. On our Earth, a great meteor strike would echo with sound, thunder rolling, air pushed aside. But here, with no air to carry vibration, there is only the flash of light, the quake beneath your feet, and silence. Even the most violent explosion carries no sound. The world reshapes itself in mute violence. There would be no thunder of falling stone. There would be no roar of impact. There would be only silence and scars. Think of what this means for time itself. On Earth with atmosphere, landscapes evolve. Craters fade, covered by forests, carved by rivers, hidden by oceans. But here, time adds scars without ever erasing them. A crater that formed billions of years ago looks as fresh as one that formed yesterday. The planet does not age with grace. It accumulates wounds. And yet, in this harshness, there is a haunting kind of beauty. For these scars are stories. Each crater is a memory of a moment, a record of a meeting between Earth and cosmos. The planet wears them like tattoos, like inscriptions carved by stars. It is a reminder of connection, of motion, of the ceaseless dance of matter in space. There would be no forgetting. There would be no erasing. There would be only memory, written in stone. And as you imagine this, think too of the protection above you now. The air that burns meteors into streaks of light. The atmosphere that catches stone and turns it into beauty. Shooting stars, delicate and fleeting, are not destruction but transformation. Fire in the sky instead of scars on the ground. Without air, every meteor would land. With air, most are caught, most are turned aside, most are softened into wonder. The difference is the difference between a sky that smiles and a sky that wounds. Between a planet alive with beauty and a planet scarred in silence. Let us lift our eyes once more to the heavens of this silent earth. Already we have seen how the sky is black, how stars shine even at noon, how the sun glares without kindness. But let us now consider what is missing, the lights that make our skies not just a ceiling, but a canvas. On our living earth, storms gather. Lightning tears across clouds in sudden brilliance. Thunder rolls, rain follows, and the sky glows with energy. Afterward, when sunlight breaks through droplets, rainbows arc in color, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, bands of light painted by water and air. And in the high latitudes, near the poles, auroras shimmer. Curtains of green, violet, pink ripple across the night, born of particles from the sun dancing with the atmosphere. Now imagine this same Earth without an atmosphere. All of these vanish. There would be no auroras. There would be no lightning. There would be no rainbows. There would be no storms to fill the sky with light. The poles are dark, untouched by shimmering veils. The skies are empty, no sudden flash of lightning, no rolling thunder. Rainbows, those fragile bridges of color, never form, for there is no rain, no droplets to scatter light. The heavens are silent, unchanging, stripped of their wonders. Think of the auroras first. On Earth, they are a dialogue, the sun sending storms of particles, the atmosphere catching them, shaping them into art. To see them is to feel connection, earth and star speaking in light. But here, on this airless earth, that conversation is cut short. The particles strike the ground directly, unshaped, untransformed. The skies are mute. The auroras never dance. There would be no curtains of green. There would be no rippling light. There would be only darkness above the poles. And lightning. Imagine storms that never form, clouds that never gather, energy that never builds. On our Earth, lightning is sudden, alive, fierce. It splits the sky, it illuminates the night, it commands attention. But here, there are no clouds to carry charge, no air to spark. The silence of the atmosphere extends into the silence of light. Storms never arrive. The sky never flashes. There would be no lightning to surprise you. There would be no thunder to follow. There would be only emptiness. And rainbows. Fragile wonders, born of rain and sun together. Arcs that appear for moments and then vanish, as if Earth itself was smiling. They are made by air bending light, droplets scattering color. But here, without air, there are no droplets, no scattering, no color. The rainbows never appear. The sky holds no secrets, no sudden bridges of light. There would be no color after rain. There would be no arcs across the sky. There would be no rainbow's quiet promise. And storms themselves, the great storytellers of atmosphere, are gone. No hurricanes spiral across oceans. No monsoons sweep over lands. No tempests roll with rain and thunder. Without air, there is no weather, and without weather, there is no drama. The skies are not alive. They are static, unmoving. The absence of these lights is not only physical, it is emotional. For what are auroras but wonder? What is lightning but awe? What are rainbows but joy? These are not just phenomena. They are feelings, moments when the sky speaks to us in color, in brilliance, in mystery. Without them, the world is not only darker, it is lonelier. Contrast this with the earth you know. Curtains of aurora dancing like spirits. Lightning illuminating the night with sudden fire. Rainbows smiling after rain, ephemeral, fragile, beautiful. These are gifts of atmosphere, the way air bends, scatters, transforms. They remind us that we live under a sky that is alive, a sky that plays, a sky that surprises. Here, on this silent earth, there are no such surprises. The heavens are black. The sun is harsh. The stars are eternal. And nothing else stirs. There would be no auroras to dance. There would be no storms to rumble. There would be no rainbows to smile. Only darkness. Only silence. Only absence. And so, as you rest now, think of the lights you have known. The glow of dawn, the surprise of lightning, the shimmer of auroras, the fragile arc of rainbows. All of them are born of atmosphere. All of them are gifts of air. Without it, the world is stripped of its color, stripped of its wonder. With it, the sky becomes a living canvas, a gallery of light. This is the difference between a ceiling of black and a heaven that sings. Now consider the final consequence of an airless earth, the loss of voices. For sound itself is born of air. It needs molecules to vibrate, to carry, to move. Without atmosphere, there is no medium. The world is mute. Imagine standing on this silent earth. You open your mouth to call, but no sound escapes. The words vanish in your throat. You clap your hands, but the gesture is empty. You drop a stone, and it strikes the ground without a sound. Even your heartbeat, so constant within you, does not echo outward. You live in a silence so complete it swallows everything. There would be no voices. There would be no songs. There would be no echoes in the air. And with this silence, life itself is impossible. For voices are not only human. Whales sing across oceans, their songs carrying for miles. Birds call at dawn, filling forests with chorus. Frogs croak in wetlands, insects hum in summer fields, wolves howl across valleys. These sounds are not background. They are life speaking, life connecting, life reaching out. On our earth, even the wind has a voice. It whispers through trees, howls through canyons, sighs across open plains. Rain too has a song, tapping on roofs, drumming on leaves, rushing in rivers. The sea roars, crashes, whispers, sings. The planet itself is alive with sound. But here, on this airless earth, those songs are gone. There would be no birdsong at dawn. There would be no whale song in the deep. There would be no insect hum on summer nights. And the loss is deeper still. For sound is connection. It binds creatures to one another. A mother calls to her child, a wolf to its pack, a bird to its mate. Sound bridges distance. It creates community. Without it, life cannot share, cannot warn, cannot comfort. Even if life somehow began here, it would be trapped in silence, unable to reach, unable to connect. Think too of memory. So many of our moments are tied to sound. The lullaby sung at night. The crackle of fire on a cold evening. The laughter of friends. The rhythm of rain. Imagine them gone. Imagine a life without sound, a world where every memory is silent. The loss is not just physical. It is emotional, spiritual. There would be no laughter. There would be no lullaby. There would be no comfort in song. And the earth itself, geology speaks in sound. On our planet, thunder shakes the air after lightning. Volcanoes roar. Glacier crack like cannon fire. Rivers rush. Waterfalls thunder. Even stone has a voice, carried through air, reminding us that the planet is alive. But here, those voices are mute. Volcanoes erupt in silence. Lightning flashes without thunder. Glaciers split without sound. Even the most violent events unfold in eerie quiet. Imagine a meteor falling. On our Earth, such an impact would roar, the air carrying shockwaves for miles. But here, it strikes in silence. Dust lifts, ground cracks, light flashes, and then nothing. No thunder, no echo, no roar. Only silence. The world without atmosphere is not only barren, not only still, not only radiant with danger. It is voiceless. It cannot sing. It cannot speak. It cannot remember itself in sound. Contrast this with the earth you know. At dawn, the first birds begin. At night, crickets hum. The wind moves softly, the seas roar, the forests breathe with whispers. Even silence on earth is never complete. It is always filled with faint presence, the air itself alive, carrying sound from place to place. The difference is profound. Here, the world without atmosphere, there is nothing. No sound at all. There, on the living earth, there is always voice. Always connection. Always life reaching out. There would be no call. There would be no answer. There would be only silence, eternal and absolute. And so, as you rest now, listening in the quiet of your own space, notice the sounds that surround you, faint, subtle, ever present. The hum of the world around you, the rustle of air, the quiet rhythm of life. These are not distractions. They are proof that you live on a planet with air. A planet that breathes. A planet that speaks. Without atmosphere, Earth would be voiceless. With atmosphere, Earth sings. Life as we know it begins in water. The first cells swam in shallow seas, nourished by minerals, sheltered by atmosphere, warmed by the sun but not destroyed by it. Rain fell, lakes formed, rivers carved, oceans gathered. In these places, chemistry became biology. Molecules joined, patterns repeated, sparks endured. Life began not in fire, but in water. But here, on this airless earth, that cradle never forms. Picture the basins of oceans, vast and waiting. They stretch across the planet, low places in the crust, carved by tectonics and time. On our earth, they fill with water, and from their depths arise whales, corals, plankton, endless schools of fish. But here, the basins remain empty. They are deserts, wide and barren, exposed to sun by day and freezing by night. Where seas should glitter blue, dust lies silent. There would be no Pacific, no Atlantic, no Indian Ocean. There would be no waves to sing, no tides to move, no whales to breathe. There would only be emptiness. And rivers. On our earth, rivers are storytellers. They carve valleys, carry soil, shape landscapes. They connect mountain to sea, rainfall to ocean. They nourish forests, feed plains, water life along their banks. But here, rivers never form. Clouds never gather, rain never falls, streams never begin. Valleys are barren, uncut. Canyons are absent. The sound of running water, so familiar to us, so comforting, is impossible here. There would be no Nile, no Amazon, no Yangtze. There would be no canyons, no waterfalls, no silver threads across stone. There would be only silence, dry and unbroken. And lakes, those smaller cradles of life. On earth, they teem with possibility. In their still waters, early chemistry may have sparked, sheltered by air, warmed by sunlight, fed by minerals. In lakes, frogs sing, reeds grow, dragonflies skim. In ponds, microscopic life flourishes, tiny worlds invisible to the naked eye. But here, no lakes exist. No ponds, no puddles. Rain never falls to fill them. The ground remains bare. The small cradles never hold. There would be no lakes, no ponds, no gentle places where life might begin. There would be no rippling water to reflect the moon. There would be no shorelines to walk. And so, life does not start. Chemistry may spark. Molecules may form in heat, in mineral cracks, in shallow pools of vapor. But without air to hold water, they vanish. Radiation strikes, ultraviolet burns, cosmic rays erase. The fragile beginnings do not endure. Life is extinguished before it can breathe. The cradle is empty. The nursery is silent. Contrast this with the earth you know. Oceans cradle continents. Rivers lace the land. Rain falls, lakes gather. In every droplet, there is possibility. The water cycle is endless, lifting to sky, falling to ground, flowing to sea. And in that cycle, life finds home. Forests drink, deserts bloom, cells endure. All of it depends on atmosphere. The air that holds water, moves it, protects it. But here, without air, the cycle never begins. The seas are empty, the rivers dry, the lakes unformed. Life never stirs. There would be no rain to wash the land. There would be no seas to cradle beginnings. There would be no cycle to carry water's gift. Imagine walking across such an earth. You descend into an ocean basin, deeper than mountains are tall. It stretches before you, wide and hollow, the ground cracked and pale. The silence is immense. No waves, no gulls, no tides, only emptiness. Above, the sky is black, stars faintly shining even at noon. The sun glares, harsh and unfiltered. Around you, the land is silent, still, dry. You are standing in a cradle that never held. And so we name this truth. Without atmosphere, Earth has no waters. And without waters, it has no life. The planet becomes a nursery never filled, a cradle never rocked. Life does not begin, does not try, does not endure. The possibility remains only that, a possibility unfulfilled. And as you breathe now, in your own world, notice the air that surrounds you. That same air holds oceans in place. That same air carries rain, feeds rivers, fills lakes. That same air cradled the beginnings of life, gave it a place to start, a chance to continue. Without it, the cradle is empty. With it, Earth becomes alive. For life is not only about water, not only about shelter. It is about a spark, a beginning. Molecules meeting, joining, weaving into patterns that endure. A chain of chemistry stretching into biology, into memory, into breath. On the earth, you know, that spark was given a chance. In shallow seas, warmed by sunlight but shielded by air, molecules found one another. They gathered, combined, repeated. Rain fed them. Atmosphere softened the sun's fire, filtered radiation, held warmth through night. In this protected cradle, fragile chemistry became durable. Cells formed. Life began. But here, on this airless earth, the spark never comes. Imagine a shallow pool of water, gathered by chance in a low hollow. The sun shines down, its energy stirring molecules. Amino acids form, patterns begin to repeat. For a moment, it seems possible. But then the heat grows too strong. Without air, water boils away, lifted into space. Without ozone, ultraviolet light pours in, tearing molecules apart. Without protection, cosmic rays strike, scattering chains into fragments. What was beginning is ended. Life would try, but it would not last. Life would spark, but it would be extinguished. Life would reach, but it would fall silent. And so the story of beginnings never unfolds. On Earth as we know it, molecules joined into chains, chains folded into structures, structures found ways to copy themselves. Slowly, patiently, persistence became memory, memory became heredity, heredity became evolution. But here, none of that occurs. Molecules do not endure long enough to become structures. Chains unravel as quickly as they form. The spark flickers, but does not remain. There would be no cells. There would be no DNA. There would be no memory written in spirals. Think of this carefully. Every living thing around you is built upon a history of survival, unbroken lines of chemistry stretching back billions of years. The air you breathe gave those fragile beginnings their chance. It caught radiation, softened extremes, held water, carried warmth. Without it, the story ends before it begins. The book of life is never opened. And imagine, if you will, the persistence of trying. Perhaps again and again, molecules meeting cracks of stone, in pools of melted ice, in fleeting shadows. Again and again, chemistry begins to weave itself. And again, it is undone. Destroyed by heat, erased by cold, shattered by radiation. A million sparks, and none survive. There would be no persistence. There would be no endurance. There would be no life. And yet, to picture this is to appreciate the miracle of what did occur. On our earth, the spark not only came, it remained. It endured long enough to grow, long enough to spread, long enough to fill oceans, skies, forests. It endured because atmosphere gave it time. Contrast this with the barren planets around us. Mercury, scorched and frozen, without air. The Moon, scarred and silent. Mars, thinly veiled in air, but not enough to hold warmth, not enough to keep seas. Each one shows us what could have been, sparks lost, beginnings unfulfilled. And here too, on this imagined airless earth, the spark is never kept. The silence is not only of sound, but of story. For life is a story told by chemistry, carried through time. Without air, there is no storyteller, no tale. Only silence. There would be no fossils, no bones, no records of growth. There would be no forests, no animals, no people. There would be no voices to wonder at the stars. Only a planet unmarked by life. And so, as you rest now, consider the spark within you. The chain of survival that stretches back unbroken. The spark that was given a chance because atmosphere made room for it. Without that chance, there is only stillness. With it, there is the story of life, your story, my story, the story of Earth itself. Without atmosphere, the spark never came. With atmosphere, it not only came, it endured. Let us shift our gaze now to a neighbor we know well, the moon. When you look at it in the night sky, it is beautiful. A pearl against darkness, marked with shadows and light. But it is also a reminder of absence. The moon has no atmosphere. It has no seas, no winds, no rain. It is silent, still, scarred, and unchanging. Now imagine Earth without its atmosphere. Imagine the moon, but larger, vaster, grander in scale, and you see what Earth might have been. Picture its surface. Grey plains stretch for miles, dotted with craters that overlap like ripples frozen in time. Ridges rise and fall, sharp-edged, unsoftened by erosion. Dust blankets the ground, fine as powder, undisturbed by wind because there is no wind to stir it. Shadows are sharp, absolute, because there is no air to scatter light. The line between brilliance and darkness is abrupt, merciless. There would be no blue seas. There would be no green forests. There would be only grey, unending and still. On our moon, silence is constant. Footsteps left by astronauts decades ago remain as fresh as the day they were made, undisturbed by wind or rain. On this airless Earth, it would be the same. Every scar, every crater, every trace remains forever. The planet does not age with grace, does not heal with weather. It remains sharp, frozen in time. Now imagine looking at Earth from space. Without atmosphere, it would not glow blue. It would not shine with clouds swirling in white ribbons. It would not dazzle with oceans shimmering. Instead, it would look like a vast moon, grey and cratered, stark against the black. A silent sphere, not alive, but preserved. There would be no swirling clouds. There would be no soft haze at the horizon. There would be only stone against void. And yet, there is beauty in this. For the moon, and an Earth like it, is honest. It shows every scar, every strike from the cosmos. It wears its history plainly. On our Earth, weather erases, oceans conceal, forests cover. But here, every moment of collision remains visible. It is a record without forgetting. Still, it is also lonely. For when we look at the moon, part of its beauty comes from contrast, the knowledge that we stand on a living Earth looking at a silent one. Imagine if both were silent, both barren, both grey. Imagine if Earth itself were only another moon in the sky, lifeless and still. There would be no songs of whales carried through oceans. There would be no songs of birds carried through forests. There would be no voices lifted toward the stars. Only silence. And so, Earth without atmosphere mirrors the moon. It is a planet of dust and stone, marked by impacts, frozen in time. No seas to sparkle, no clouds to swirl, no weather to move. Only craters and shadows, sharp and eternal. Contrast this with the Earth you know. From space, it glows blue, white, green, brown, a living jewel. Clouds drift, storms spiral, seas glitter, continents breathe with forests. It changes, it moves, it lives. The difference is atmosphere. The veil of air turns a barren sphere into a living world. Without it, Earth is a moon. With it, Earth is alive. And yet, to imagine this lunar Earth is to deepen our gratitude. For the moon is beautiful in its silence, and so too would Earth be, even without life. But with air, with seas, with forests, Earth is more than beautiful. It is home. Mercury, the innermost planet of our solar system. Small, scarred, airless. It circles the sun swiftly, locked in a cycle of heat and cold so extreme it defies imagination. At midday, Mercury's surface bakes hotter than an oven. At night, without air to hold the warmth, it plunges colder than the poles of Earth. It is a planet of extremes. Now imagine Earth, stripped of its atmosphere, becoming such a place. On the world you know, the atmosphere spreads warmth. It takes the light of the sun and shares it across the globe. It carries heat from equator to pole, holds warmth through night, softens transitions. The difference between noon and midnight, between summer and winter is moderated by the blanket of air. With atmosphere, Earth breathes in rhythm. But without it, the rhythm breaks. The sun rises and the land beneath it scorches. Rocks crack in heat, metals glow, dust burns. Oceans, if they had ever formed, vanish in steam. The ground itself radiates, too hot to touch, too harsh to endure. There would be no gentle mornings. There would be no soft afternoons. There would be only burning days. And then, when the sun sets, the opposite comes. Without air to hold warmth, heat flees instantly into space. The land freezes, sharp and brittle. Dust crystallizes, frost creeps across stone. Valleys plunge into darkness so cold it fractures rock. The difference between day and night is absolute, cruel, merciless. There would be no lingering evenings. There would be no warmth carried through the night. There would be only freezing silence. Imagine walking across such a world. At sunrise, the horizon blazes, shadows vanish, and the heat grows unbearable. By noon, the ground is scorching, the light unfiltered, the glare blinding. By dusk, the heat flees, frost forms, darkness falls sharp. Within a single day, the world transforms from furnace to freezer, with no middle ground. Life cannot endure such change. On Earth as we know it, air softens extremes, oceans moderate climate, winds carry balance. Here, nothing holds. The planet shifts violently from one state to another, unstable, uninhabitable. And yet, in this harshness, there is still strange beauty. Picture the land under blazing noon, the rocks glowing, the shadows sharp, the horizon gleaming. Picture the land under midnight, frost glimmering in starlight, silence deep, the stars unbroken across the sky. It is beauty without comfort, beauty that cannot cradle, beauty that burns and freezes alike. Contrast this with the earth you know. Here, dawn unfolds gently, colors painting the sky. Evenings linger, warmth held in air and soil. Winters are softened, summers moderated. Life thrives in the spaces between, in the balance made possible by air. Without atmosphere, Earth becomes Mercury's twin, a furnace by day, a freezer by night. With atmosphere, Earth becomes temperate, balanced, alive. There would be no spring, no autumn, no seasons of transition. There would be no middle ground. There would be only extremes. And so, to picture Earth without air is to see Mercury's reflection in our own world. A planet that endures, but does not comfort. A planet that shines, but does not shelter. A planet that is beautiful, but not alive. From afar it gleams like a coal in the night sky, a world both near and strange. Unlike Mercury, it does wear an atmosphere, but thin, too thin to protect, too thin to cradle. Once, long ago, rivers flowed across its face. Valleys carved by water run like scars across its deserts. Lakes may have filled its basins, seas may have shimmered in its lowlands. But today, Mars is dry. Its air is tenuous, its seas gone, its rivers silent. It is a reminder of what almost was. Now imagine Earth without atmosphere, and Mars becomes its mirror. For this earth too would hold no water, no seas, no life. It too would be scarred with valleys that never filled, plains that never grew green, basins that never cradled oceans. It too would whisper of a chance denied. Picture the surface. Vast deserts stretch across the horizon, red dust glowing in sunlight, shadows sharp beneath a black sky. Canyons yawn open, but they are dry, their walls crumbling, their floors barren. On Mars, the Great Canyon Valles Marineris cuts deeper than any on Earth. On an airless Earth, perhaps such wounds would also appear, but without rivers to carve them. They would come only from fracture, from impact, from violence. There would be no flowing rivers. There would be no seas shimmering under sky. There would be only dust, red and dry. And storms, even Mars has them. Its thin air stirs dust into tempests that sweep across continents. But on this airless Earth, there would be no storms. Dust would lie still. Deserts would not move. Silence would hold the land. Life, too, would never stir. On Mars, perhaps once there was a chance, microbes beneath ice, cells in ancient seas. Perhaps. But the air was lost, the shield broken, the water gone. Whatever life might have begun was ended. On this imagined Earth, the chance never comes. The cradle is never filled. The spark never lasts. There would be no microbes hiding beneath soil. There would be no traces of what once was. There would be only silence from the start. And yet Mars remains compelling. We send our machines there, rolling wheels across its deserts, searching for fossils, for whispers of what might have been. We are drawn to its almost-ness. Its story is haunting because it echoes our own. What if Earth had faltered? What if atmosphere had thinned, oceans boiled away, life extinguished? Mars is a reminder that planets can change, that possibility can be lost. This imagined airless Earth is Mars magnified. Larger, harsher, drier. Where Mars once almost held seas, Earth without atmosphere never does. Where Mars may hold whispers of ancient life, Earth without air never even begins. And yet, by looking at Mars, we understand our own fortune. Earth has what Mars lost: a thick, protective atmosphere, a cycle of rain and rivers, a climate balanced between extremes. Life here was not almost. It was. It is. There would be no forests on Mars. There would be no oceans. There would be no voices. And on this airless Earth, it would be the same. A red-brown planet of silence, beautiful from afar, barren up close. Contrast this with the Earth you know, skies blue with scattering, seas deep and restless, forests breathing, deserts alive with wind. Life in every niche, every corner, every possibility. The difference is atmosphere. With it, Earth is not almost. It is alive. There would be no microbes hiding beneath soil. There would be no traces of what once was. Let us come back to this moment, to this room, to the simple act of breathing. For breath is the gift we most often forget. It is constant, steady, unnoticed. And yet, it is the most profound connection we have to the atmosphere. Each inhale, each exhale, is a reminder that we live within a cradle of air. Take a breath now. Feel the air moving into you, cool and soft. Feel it leaving, warm and gentle. This rhythm is older than you, older than humanity, older than forests. It is the rhythm of the planet itself. Here, we breathe. Here, we are held. Here, we are alive. Contrast this with the airless earth we have seen in our minds. There, you would open your mouth, and nothing would come. There, lungs would find no answer, no presence, no gift. Silence would fill you instead of breath. There would be no inhale. There would be no exhale. There would be no life sustained by air. And yet here, on this earth, you breathe without effort. Oxygen flows into you, carried by molecules that once circled forests, once drifted through oceans, once moved through the breath of creatures long gone. The air you take in now has passed through countless lives, countless ages. In every breath is history. Consider this. The oxygen in your lungs was made in stars, forged in furnaces of fusion, scattered by supernovae, gathered into clouds, and finally breathed by you, here, tonight. You carry starlight in your lungs. And you forget. We all forget. Breath is so constant that it becomes invisible. But without it, there is nothing. No thought, no memory, no life. Every story we have told, every dream we have dreamed, has depended on atmosphere. Here, we breathe. Here, we are remembered. Here, we belong. Let your breath remind you of the difference. On the imagined earth, silence reigned. On this earth, the quiet of night is never complete, for air itself is alive with movement. Listen, if you can, to the faint sounds around you, the whisper of air through vents, the rustle of fabric, even the gentle hum of your own breath. These are not distractions. They are life, carried by air. On the airless earth, there would be no whispers. On this earth, there is always breath. And so, as you rest now, feel the presence of atmosphere in your own body. Each inhale is earth cradling you. Each exhale is you giving back. You are not separate from the air. You are part of its cycle. What you breathe now will drift outward, will move through forests, oceans, skies, will be taken in by others, will circle back. Breath is shared. Breath is connection. There would be no sharing on an airless earth. Here, breath is a gift passed endlessly, from leaf to lung, from sea to sky. Gratitude begins here, in this simple act. For atmosphere is not only what allows rain and rivers, not only what protects from radiation and meteors. It is what allows you to breathe. It is the most intimate, the most immediate, the most constant reminder that you are alive. As you lie here, let yourself notice it. The way your chest rises, the way air moves in and out, the way life flows through you with no effort at all. Here, we breathe. Here, we are held. Here, we are alive. And so, as we return from silence into sound, from absence into presence, let us carry with us the simplest truth. Atmosphere is life. And life begins with breath. The sky is so constant that we rarely pause to see it. We walk beneath it, drive beneath it, live beneath it, and often forget to notice. But it is not only scenery. It is shelter. The atmosphere is a blanket, soft but immense. It wraps the earth in layers, thin compared to the planet itself, yet thick enough to hold warmth, thick enough to scatter light, thick enough to cradle life. Without it, we have seen what the world becomes: barren, silent, scorched, frozen. With it, the world is alive. Imagine, for a moment, dawn. On the airless earth, the sun would rise as a sharp coin of light against a black sky, shadows harsh, stars still visible. But here, the atmosphere bends light, scattering blue across the heavens, painting the morning in colors that soften the day's arrival. Pinks, oranges, golds, all of them gifts of air. There would be no dawn without sky. There would be no colors unfolding. There would be no soft beginning to each day. And sunsets, on the imagined earth, the sun would simply vanish, slipping beneath the horizon into blackness. No lingering glow, no twilight. But here, atmosphere stretches the light, scatters the reds and violets, paints the sky in fire and rose. Even after the sun is gone, the sky holds its memory, glowing softly until night arrives. There would be no sunsets without sky. There would be no twilight, no afterglow. There would be no farewell written in color. And clouds. They are caretakers of the sky. They carry water, shade the land, balance the heat. They gather and drift, bringing rain, bringing relief. Without atmosphere, clouds cannot form. The airless earth has no sky filled with motion, no soft white shapes moving above. But here, clouds remind us of care, of cycles, of patience. There would be no clouds without sky. There would be no rain, no snow, no storm. There would be no caretakers above. The sky is more than beauty. It is protection. Ozone layers catch ultraviolet radiation, shielding life below. The blanket of air holds warmth through night, softens extremes of heat and cold, keeps oceans liquid, forests green, deserts alive. Meteors flare harmlessly in its embrace, burning into streaks of light instead of striking ground. The sky remembers us. It holds back what would harm and gives what sustains. Contrast this with the airless earth we imagined. Its sky is black, harsh, empty. No dawn, no sunset, no clouds, no colors. The sun burns raw, stars shine cold, the land lies unprotected. It is not a shelter, only an absence. Here, we are sheltered. Here, we are remembered. Here, we are alive. Think of twilight again. The gentle balance between day and night, the lingering glow after the sun has gone. This is atmosphere holding light, softening darkness, giving us transition. Without it, day would become night instantly, harshly, mercilessly. With it, we are given softness, patience, grace. Think too of storms. The rumble of thunder, the flash of lightning, the gift of rain. These are not threats, but reminders that the sky is alive, responsive, part of Earth's system. They nourish as much as they challenge. Without atmosphere, there is no rain to fall, no thunder to echo, no rainbow to arc. With it, we are given cycles that feed and restore. The sky is shelter, but it is also memory. Every breath of air contains atoms older than our species, older than mountains, older than oceans. Each molecule has circled the planet countless times, been part of forests, seas, creatures. When you look at the sky, you are looking at the memory of Earth itself, stretched above you, holding the stories of ages. And so, as you lie here, imagine the sky not only as color and cloud, but as care. A blanket, a guardian, a memory keeper. It is what softens the light of the sun, scatters brilliance into blue, writes farewells in sunset, gathers water into clouds, shields you from harm. Without it, there would be no shelter. With it, there is life. Here, we are sheltered. Here, we are remembered. Here, we are alive. From the ground to the edge of space, it stretches upward, a vast yet delicate expanse. You may not see it, but you are always within it, as a fish is within water. You breathe it. You move through it. Every step you take, every sound you hear, every cloud you watch, is part of this ocean. Here, we swim in air. Here, we are immersed. Here, we belong. Imagine birds in flight. On the airless earth, wings would be useless, empty gestures in a vacuum. But here, wings find purchase, air pushes back, and flight is possible. Birds are swimmers in the sky, moving through currents of air as fish move through currents of sea. Their songs ride the same medium, carried on waves of pressure. Flight and voice alike are gifts of the ocean of air. There would be no wings without sky. There would be no flight, no song carried on breeze. There would be only silence, only stillness. And clouds, they are waves in this ocean, drifting, swelling, dissolving. They are the visible movement of air, like foam upon a sea. Storms are great tempests of this invisible water. Winds are its tides, breezes are its ripples. We are not apart from them. We are within them, cradled by them. Imagine, too, the pressure of air. Though invisible, it is immense. A column of atmosphere presses down on every point of the earth, the weight of oceans stacked above you. And yet, because you are made for it, you do not feel crushed. You feel only comfort. The pressure holds you, shapes you, sustains you. There would be no weight of air on the airless earth. There would be no gentle embrace. There would be only emptiness. And breath. Here we return again to breath. For this ocean of air fills your lungs as seas fill valleys. Oxygen flows into you. Carbon dioxide leaves. With every inhale, you are in dialogue with the world, exchanging, sharing, part of a vast conversation that has gone on for billions of years. Every breath is a tide. Every exhale is a wave returning. Every inhale is a gift received. Consider too that this ocean is shared. The air you breathe tonight may have passed through forests in the Amazon, over deserts in Africa, across oceans vast and deep. It may have been carried by winds high in the stratosphere, drifted as jet streams, circled the globe. What you breathe now has been breathed before, and will be breathed again. We do not own air. We share it. With forests, with oceans, with one another. Here, we are connected. Here, we are immersed. Here, we are one. Contrast this with the airless earth. There is no ocean of air, no currents, no tides. There is only emptiness. Birds cannot fly, voices cannot carry, clouds cannot form. There is no sea of air to sustain, no invisible ocean to cradle. But here, we live within it always. Even when we forget, even when we do not notice, we are immersed in atmosphere. It is the sea we cannot leave, the water we cannot see, the cradle we cannot step outside of. So as you rest now, imagine yourself floating, not in water, but in air, held by a sea that stretches upward instead of downward, surrounding you completely, wrapping the entire planet in its embrace. Every breath you take is part of that sea. Every cloud you see is part of its tides. Every storm, every breeze, every rainbow is a ripple in its surface. Here, we swim in air. Here, we are immersed. Here, we belong. Let us lean closer now, to listen not with ears, but with imagination. For the atmosphere is not only a shelter, not only an ocean of air, it is a memory keeper. Every breath, every molecule, every drifting atom carries a story billions of years old. When you inhale, the oxygen that enters you is not new. It is ancient. Long ago, before forests, before animals, before even plants, tiny microbes in shallow seas began to split water, releasing oxygen as breath. Slowly, patiently, they changed the world. Their gift built the sky we now live within. Every breath you take carries their memory. You are breathing the work of ancient life. Here, we breathe history. Here, we breathe memory. Here, we breathe the past made present. And carbon dioxide, that too is a story. Each molecule may once have been part of a tree, a forest, a fern. It may have drifted through the breath of a dinosaur, the call of a bird, the lungs of another human. It may have been buried in stone, released by fire, carried again by air. Carbon moves in cycles, across ages, never lost, only transformed. To exhale is to release memory back into the world. Here, we exhale history. Here, we exhale memory. Here, we exhale the past into the future. Nitrogen too, the quiet majority of our air, tells a story. It was forged not on Earth but in stars, created in cosmic furnaces and scattered into space by supernovae. For billions of years it drifted, until Earth gathered it, held it, kept it. Now it fills the sky, silent and invisible, making life possible. When you breathe starlight. There would be no memory in an airless Earth. There would be no record of life, no archive of stars. There would be only silence, only absence. The air we live within is not empty. It is a library. Each molecule is a page, each breath a chapter, each cycle a story. Together, they form the memory of the planet. They carry the history of microbes, forests, oceans, stars. They remind us that we are not only here, now, we are also everywhere, then. Consider the storms that circle the globe. Winds lift dust from deserts and carry it across oceans. Within that dust are nutrients that feed forests an ocean away. Within that dust are atoms older than continents, fragments of stone that remember a world long gone. Every gust of wind is an act of remembering, carrying the past into the present. Consider, too, the rain. Each drop that falls has been many things before. Ocean, ice, vapor, cloud. For billions of years, the same water has risen and fallen, fallen and risen. When rain touches your skin, it is the same water that once fell on ancient forests, once filled primordial seas, once carved valleys. The atmosphere carries it, remembers it, returns it. Here, rain is memory. Here, wind is memory. Here, every breath is memory. And so, atmosphere is more than shelter, more than ocean. It is the memory of the earth, carried in cycles of air, water, gas. It remembers stars, microbes, forests, people. It remembers beginnings, endings, renewals. Without it, Earth would be silent, history unwritten. With it, the planet carries its past into its future. And you are part of that memory. The breath you take now contains atoms that once were elsewhere, in oceans, in mountains, in stars. They have traveled through ages, and now they rest within you, for a moment, before moving on. You are part of the cycle, part of the story, part of the remembering. Here, we breathe memory. Here, we live within Earth's archive. Here, we are part of the story of the planet. It is easy to imagine the atmosphere as infinite, stretching without end, thick, unshakable. But in truth, it is fragile. It is delicate. It is thinner than we think, a gift that can be changed, even harmed, by the choices we make. Imagine the Earth as a globe. Its radius stretches for thousands of miles, from its molten core to its crust, from its mountains to its seas. Against that vastness, the atmosphere is only a thin veil, a skin of air clinging to the surface. If Earth were an apple, the atmosphere would be no thicker than its skin. A fragile boundary, and yet it holds everything we know. There would be no protection without it. There would be no breath, no warmth, no life. There would be only emptiness, only silence. Think of how delicate this gift is. Only a few miles up, the air is already thin, hard to breathe. By the time you reach the edge of space, it is gone. This small, narrow band of air is all that separates us from the vacuum beyond. A fragile line, and yet it carries the weight of oceans, the sound of winds, the breath of every living thing. And within its fragility lies responsibility. For the atmosphere is not fixed. It changes. It responds to what we do. When forests burn, when fuels are consumed, when carbon is released, the balance shifts. The blanket that warms us grows too heavy, trapping more heat than it should. The cycles that have steadied Earth for ages begin to tilt. Here, we see its vulnerability. Here, we see its sensitivity. Here, we see its need for care. And yet fragility is not weakness. Fragility is invitation. To recognize that something so thin, so delicate, holds everything we are, is to be called to gratitude, to responsibility. It reminds us that we are not separate from this gift, but woven into it. Every breath we take depends upon it. Every future we imagine requires it. Without atmosphere, the earth would be barren. With it, the earth is alive. And yet, because it is fragile, it asks us to listen, to care, to remember. Think of glass. A window, clear and delicate, allows light in, keeps storms out. It is breakable, yes, but it is also beautiful, useful, protective. The atmosphere is such a window, fragile, but vital. And like glass, it can crack if not treated with care. Consider too the sky you know. Its colors are reminders of its fragility. The pale blue of day exists only because air scatters light. The fiery red of sunset comes because light bends through the thinnest parts of atmosphere. The glow of twilight, the shimmer of auroras, the arc of a rainbow, all are signs of delicacy, of a system balanced on thin edges. Here, we are reminded of fragility. Here, we are invited to care. Here, we are called to gratitude. And so, as you rest, reflect on this truth. Atmosphere is both vast and thin. It is immense in its reach, circling the globe, shaping weather, carrying storms, painting skies. But it is delicate in its depth, a veil only miles thick, vulnerable to change, sensitive to imbalance. Fragility does not mean despair. Fragility means awareness. Awareness means possibility. Possibility means choice. The sky above us is a gift, but it is also a trust. We are not merely beneath it. We are stewards of it. Without care, the sky falters. With care, it endures. Here, we are held by air. Here, we are asked to remember. Here, we are called to gratitude. We have walked through silence and storm, through absence and abundance, through the airless earth that might have been and the living earth that is. And now we return, not to theories, not to distant worlds, but to this moment. To you, to your breath, to the gratitude within. Take a breath now. Feel it. The air enters, cool, soft. It leaves, warm, gentle. This is atmosphere made personal. The sky itself moves through you, keeps you, sustains you. You are not separate from it. You are part of it. You are breathing the planet. Here, we are held. Here, we are connected. Here, we are alive. It is easy to forget. The atmosphere is invisible, constant, always around us. We do not notice it as we notice trees, or seas, or stars. But it is the thread that ties them all together. It is the breath of forests, the cradle of oceans, the glow of sunsets, the whisper of wind. It is the medium in which life itself has unfolded. Without it, we saw what Earth would be, barren, silent, still. With it, Earth is alive, singing, speaking, remembering. The difference between nothing and everything is only a few miles of air. There would be no forests without sky. There would be no seas, no rivers, no rain. There would be no life, no voices, no us. And yet here we are. breathing, speaking, remembering, held beneath a sky that shelters, a veil that protects, a gift that cradles. Think of all the moments atmosphere has made possible. The laughter of children carried on air, the song of a bird rising at dawn, the rustle of trees in the evening wind, the scent of rain on warm soil, the glow of a rainbow after a storm, the shimmer of an aurora on a polar night. Each one is a gift of air. Each one is a reminder of atmosphere. Here, we are given beauty. Here, we are given wonder. Here, we are given life. And in this, there is fragility. For this thin layer can be altered, can be harmed, can be changed. But fragility does not call for fear. It calls for care, for gratitude, for awareness. It calls us to live gently, to remember what holds us, to honor what sustains us. Take another breath. Inhale, exhale. This is atmosphere moving through you. It has passed through oceans, through forests, through countless lives before you. It has circled the globe, risen as cloud, fallen as rain, drifted as wind. And now it is here, within you. For a moment, it is yours. And then it moves on. Here, we share breath. Here, we share memory. Here, we share the gift of air. To be alive beneath a sky is to be part of a miracle. Not a loud miracle, not a sudden one, but a quiet, enduring one. A miracle of balance, of persistence, of chance. Earth need not have held its air. The spark of life need not have endured. And yet it did. And here you are, in this moment, breathing proof of that chance. Gratitude begins not in grand gestures, but in noticing. Noticing the breath. Noticing the sky. Noticing the way atmosphere shelters you, remembers you, carries you. Gratitude is quiet, but it is powerful. It roots you in the present, in the truth that you are part of this planet's story, written in air, water, stone, and time. Here, we remember. Here, we are grateful. Here, we are alive. And so, as you rest now, let gratitude fill you as air does. Softly, invisibly, completely. Gratitude for sky, for shelter, for breath, for the rare chance of being alive in this fragile, extraordinary moment of Earth's story. Because the atmosphere is not only above you, it is within you. It is your breath, your life, your connection to everything that came before and everything that will come after. You are not beneath the sky. You are part of it. Here, we are held. Here, we are grateful. Here, we are alive. Traveler, we have wandered far tonight. We have stood on an earth without air, without sky, without breath. We have imagined silence so deep it swallowed rivers before they began, oceans before they filled, voices before they could rise. We have walked across a world of stone and shadow, and we have returned, slowly, into the embrace of the earth as it truly is, alive, sheltered, breathing. And now, as our journey closes, let us come back to where we began. To you, lying here, in this quiet moment. To your own breath, steady, soft, unhurried. To the rhythm that carries you through every hour, every day, every story. Feel the air moving gently into you. Feel it leaving, softer still. This is your reminder that you are here, that you are safe, that you are home. Here, we breathe. Here, we rest. Here, we are held. You have traveled through silence and fire, through absence and abundance, through memory and fragility. And still, you are here, in this room, in this moment, breathing, resting, belonging. Let the bed beneath you cradle you as the earth cradles seas. Let the blanket above you shelter you as the sky shelters forests. Let your breath move as rivers move, steady and gentle, carrying life quietly forward. You are here. You are safe. You are home. Notice, if you will, the smallness of this moment compared to the vastness we have imagined. Stars spin, galaxies drift, eons pass, and still here you are, lying in quiet, listening, breathing. There is wonder in the vastness, but there is peace in the nearness. The peace of being present, of being here. Each breath carries you deeper into stillness. Each exhale loosens what remains of the day. Each inhale brings softness, comfort, rest. Here, you are not asked to do. Here, you are not asked to try. Here, you are only asked to be. The imagined earth without air has faded now. The silence, the cold, the endless night, all of it dissolves into the air around you, the very air you breathe. You have returned. You are home. And home is not only walls or rooms or places. Home is this planet, this sky, this air. Home is the atmosphere that surrounds you, holds you, carries you. Home is the gift of breath, given again and again. You are here. You are safe. You are home. And so, as you rest, let yourself feel gratitude for the simplest of things. For the blanket of air above you. For the breath within you. For the earth beneath you. These are constants, cradling you as you drift towards sleep. Let go now of thought, of time, of memory. Let the earth hold them for you. Let the sky shelter you. Let breath be enough. You are here. You are safe. You are home. When we began tonight, we asked a question. A simple question, but one that opened into vastness. What if Earth never had an atmosphere? It was not a question of fear, but of wonder. Not to alarm, but to imagine. To let curiosity wander into the silence of possibility. Together, we stepped into that imagined world. Together, we walked across its stillness. Together, we saw what was absent, and what that absence revealed. We saw skies without blue, without clouds, without color. We saw seas that never filled, rivers that never carved, rains that never fell. We saw silence where songs should be, stillness where winds should stir. And as we wandered, we discovered more than emptiness. We discovered contrast. For in imagining what might not have been, we returned more deeply to what is. We returned to breath, to sky, to shelter, to gratitude. The circle has closed. We began with absence, and we end with presence. Here, the air is real. Here, the sky is full. Here, the earth is alive. Think of the circle of breath. Each inhale leads to an exhale. Each exhale makes space for an inhale. Round and round, a cycle that holds you steady. Our journey tonight is like that. We began in the inhale of curiosity, filling our minds with the strange silence of a world without air. We end in the exhale of gratitude, releasing fear, resting in what is real, what holds us now. The circle has closed. We began with wondering, and we end with remembering. Think too of the circle of water. Rain rises into cloud, falls into river, flows into ocean, lifts again into sky. Always moving, always cycling, always circling back. Without atmosphere, that circle would be broken. But with it, the circle continues, endlessly. And here we are, part of it, resting in its gift. The circle has closed. We began with imagining absence, and we end with knowing abundance. And consider the circle of time. The great turning of earth, carrying us through day and night, season to season, year to year. Without air, the turning would be harsh, sudden, merciless. But with air, the turning is softened, dawns and dusks, winters and springs, transitions with patience. And here you are, within that turning, carried gently toward rest. The circle has closed. We began with harshness, and we end with softness. Every circle leads us home again, to breath, to sky, to earth, to gratitude. And so, our journey, too, has come home. We began with a question that felt impossibly large. We end with a truth that is beautifully small. You are here, in this bed, in this moment, breathing, resting, belonging. Here, the circle holds you. Here, the sky shelters you. Here, the earth remembers you. Let the circle close gently now around your thoughts. Let it carry them into stillness. Let the question fade, leaving only peace. For though curiosity opens worlds, gratitude closes them again, softly, like a book returning to its shelf, like night folding over day. You are here. You are safe. You are home. And as this circle closes, another begins, the circle of sleep. Just as breath moves in and out, just as day turns to night, so too do you drift now, from waking into resting, from thought into dream. The rhythm continues. The circle holds. The journey has brought us full circle. From what if to what is. From absence to presence. From wondering to remembering. From curiosity to gratitude. And as the circle closes, let it carry you into stillness, into silence, into rest. Not with thunder, not with storm, but with a whisper. A voice so gentle it moves like wind through leaves, like waves across sand, like the hush of night. And in that whisper, earth says, "You belong. You are part of me." It is not a command, not a demand, only a reminder. A truth as old as stone, as deep as ocean, as constant as sky. You belong, not because you have earned it, not because you must prove it, but because you are made of the same elements, the same stories, the same memories as the planet itself. The iron in your blood was forged in stars. The calcium in your bones was lifted from stone. The oxygen in your lungs was breathed first by forests and seas. The water in your veins once fell as ancient rain. You are not separate. You are not an intruder. You are Earth remembering itself, briefly, through you. And Earth whispers, "You belong. You are part of me." Picture the forests, vast and green, exhaling oxygen into the air. Each leaf is a voice, each tree a song. And as you breathe now, you are answering. You are part of the same cycle, the same breath. Forests and you, together, completing one another. Picture the oceans, endless and deep, lifting water into sky, letting it fall again as rain. Each drop is a gift, each wave a story. And as you drink, as you live, you are part of that same cycle, the same rhythm. Oceans and you, together, completing one another. Picture the winds, carrying seeds, carrying clouds, carrying sound. Each gust is a messenger, each breeze a caress. And as you rest now, air moves through you, through lungs, through life. Winds and you, together, completing one another. Earth whispers, "You belong. You are part of me." And in that whisper is comfort. For to belong is to be home. To belong is to be carried. To belong is to be remembered. Even when you forget, even when you feel small, the earth remembers you. In the air you breathe, in the ground beneath you, in the sky above you. You are not apart. You are part. Here, you are remembered. Here, you are carried. Here, you are home. And so, as you drift now towards sleep, let that whisper stay with you. Let it soften the edges of thought. Let it cradle you into stillness. You do not have to hold the world on your own shoulders. The world holds you. The air holds you. The sky holds you. Earth itself holds you. You belong. You are part of it. You are safe. Let this whisper linger like a lullaby, low and endless. The planet has whispered to every creature before you, and will whisper to every creature after you. You are part of the long memory of Earth, the long breath of atmosphere, the long story of life. For a moment, Earth speaks through you, and through you, Earth rests. You belong. You are part of me. Sleep now, in my memory. It is easy to feel separate. To imagine yourself as a guest here, walking upon the surface of a planet as though it were a stage, a backdrop for your days. But that is not the truth. The truth is more intimate, more wondrous. You are not upon Earth. You are Earth, remembering itself in your form, in your breath, in your being. The iron in your blood was born in stars, flung across space in supernovae, gathered into this planet, drawn into you. Each beat of your heart is carried by iron that once glowed in cosmic fire. The calcium in your bones was once part of stone, lifted from mountains, dissolved into rivers, taken in by life, passed through countless generations before becoming part of you. Each step you take is steadied by stone remade as bone. The oxygen in your lungs was breathed first by ancient microbes, then by forests, then by seas. Each breath you take is borrowed from the breath of the planet. The water in your veins is older than mountains, older than oceans, older than Earth itself. It drifted in space as ice, gathered in clouds, fell as rain, cycled through rivers, seas, and skies, and now it flows within you. Each drop in you has traveled farther than you can imagine. You are not just on Earth. You are of Earth. You are Earth. Think of your skin, warmed by the sun, cooled by the breeze. Think of your breath, drawn from sky, released back into it. Think of your body, fed by plants, by animals, by soil and rain. Every part of you is made from what the earth provides, what the earth is. There is no line between you and the planet. You are continuous with it, inseparable from it. You are not standing on the earth. You are rising from it. You are its expression, its memory, its story told in living form. And so, when you look at the stars, remember, you are looking into mirrors. For the stars are not distant strangers, but kin. The carbon in your cells, the nitrogen in your muscles, the very elements that make you, all were forged in stars. You are Earth, yes, but you are also cosmos. You are not only of this planet. You are of the universe itself. You are not just on Earth. You are of Earth. You are of stars. Let this truth be a comfort as you rest. You are not alone, not separate, not apart. You are woven into the fabric of the planet, into the memory of the cosmos. You belong in the deepest sense. Every part of you testifies to it. Every breath proves it. Every heartbeat is Earth, living briefly as you. And when you sleep, you do not leave this belonging behind. You sink deeper into it, into the earth beneath you, into the air above you, into the memory of stars within you. You are not just on Earth. You are of it. You are safe. Picture the winds, carrying seeds, carrying clouds, carrying sound. Each gust is a messenger, each breeze a caress. And as you rest now, air moves through you, through lungs, through life. Winds and you, together, completing one another. Earth whispers, you belong. You are part of me. And in that whisper is comfort. For to belong is to be home. To belong is to be carried. To belong is to be remembered. Even when you forget, even when you feel small, the earth remembers you. In the air you breathe, in the ground beneath you, in the sky above you. You are not apart. You are part. Here, you are remembered. Here, you are carried. Here, you are home. And so, as you drift now towards sleep, let that whisper stay with you. Let it soften the edges of thought. Let it cradle you into stillness. You do not have to hold the world on your own shoulders. The world holds you. The air holds you. The sky holds you. Earth itself holds you. You belong. You are part of it. You are safe. Let this whisper linger like a lullaby, low and endless. The planet has whispered to every creature before you, and will whisper to every creature after you. You are part of the long memory of Earth, the long breath of atmosphere, the long story of life. For a moment, Earth speaks through you, and through you, Earth rests. You belong. You are part of me. Sleep now, in my memory. We have wandered through silence and sky, through memory and breath, through horizons glowing with color and fading into night. And now it is time to rest, to let the story close softly, like twilight settling over day. The planet itself seems to lean close as you lie here. The ground beneath you steady, the air around you gentle, the sky above you endless. It is as though Earth itself were tucking you in, as though the blanket on your bed were woven from clouds, as though the pillow beneath your head were filled with the quiet hush of forests. You are home. You are safe. You are held. Look, in your mind, to the stars above. On an airless Earth, they would blaze sharp and cold. But here, they twinkle through atmosphere, softened, shimmering, alive. They are not distant strangers, but companions, reminders that you carry their fire in your body, their light in your blood. The stars look down, and they do not see separation. They see kinship. The atmosphere, thin and fragile, is your lullaby tonight. It carries the sound of crickets, the sigh of wind, the softness of your own breath. Without it, there would be silence. With it, there is song. And the song is gentle, endless, patient. Here, the sky sings you to sleep. Here, the stars keep you company. Here, the earth holds you in her arms. And so, traveler, let go of the day. Let go of thought. Let go of weight. Let yourself drift as clouds drift, as rivers flow, as earth turns. You do not have to hold the world. The world is holding you. The planet whispers, rest now. Sleep now. Dream now. And if you listen closely, you will hear it in every breath, the good night of the planet. A rhythm steady, a hush eternal. Air moves in, air moves out, like a mother rocking a child, like a tide rising and falling. You are carried. You are cradled. You are safe. You are not just on Earth. You are of it. You are its memory, its story, its song. So sleep well, traveler. Sleep deeply, softly, gently. Let curiosity rest beside you, ready to wake with you tomorrow. Let wonder wrap around you, steady and calm. Let gratitude linger in your breath. Because the story of Earth isn't over. It is still being written. And you are part of it. Until then, sleep well. Stay curious. And remember, you are not just on Earth. You are of it. Good night, from Infinite Earth Stories.